Most people never fail because they lacked talent. They fail because they never built the courage to claim who they were born to become. Wealth is not something you chase. It is something you align with, and most will never taste it, not because the world denied them, but because they denied themselves. They bowed to fear disguised as logic. They worshipped comfort and called it wisdom. They inherited the mindset of scarcity and wore it like a badge of honor. But the rich, they think in a different frequency. They rewire their beliefs, not to survive the system, but to transcend it. They don't beg for opportunity. They become the opportunity. And if you're ready, truly ready to think like them, then this is the moment that everything changes. Not when the market shifts, not when luck appears, but right now, the moment you decide to reprogram your mind, reclaim your value, and rise into the wealth that was always waiting for the real you. There is a reason most people never become rich. It's not because they lack intelligence. It's not because they were born without opportunity. It's not because the system is broken. It's because they never built the one thing that truly creates wealth. The mindset to receive it. You are not born poor. You are born empty. And what you fill yourself with becomes your reality. The majority fill themselves with limitation. They speak in whispers of doubt. They let the weight of yesterday define the shape of tomorrow. They hand their power to the opinions of others, to the circumstances of the world, to the noise of fear masquerading as logic. And in that silence of conviction, they fail. Not because they are incapable, but because they are convinced they are not worthy of more. But the rich, they think differently. They walk through the same storms, but they refuse to be soaked by despair. They've trained their mind like a warrior trains his body, with discipline, with precision, with faith. They don't wait for the world to approve of their dream. They breathe life into it until the world has no choice but to watch it rise. Wealth is not about numbers. Wealth is a vibration, and most people never tune in. Most people are still trapped in survival mode, trapped in the old stories passed down from parents, culture, school. Stories that say, play it safe, don't ask for too much, be grateful you have anything at all. And while gratitude is a virtue, complacency disguised as gratitude is a poison. The rich are grateful, yes, but they're also hungry. They understand that to honor their potential is to expand it. You want to know why you haven't yet built the wealth you desire. It's because you keep treating money like an escape plan, not like a relationship. You chase it when you're afraid. You beg for it when you're down. You curse it when it leaves. And you never ask the real question, am I the kind of person wealth feels safe around? Money does not flow to victims. It flows to creators. Money does not answer to entitlement. It responds to clarity. Money doesn't go where there's confusion, drama, and doubt. It goes where it is respected, where it has a purpose, where it knows it can grow. That is the difference in thinking. The poor ask, what if I lose it? The rich ask, what will it become in my hands? The poor say, I don't know how. The rich say, I will learn, I will find out, I will go first. You see, the true currency of the rich isn't cash, it's belief. Belief in their worth, belief in their vision, belief in their responsibility to make that vision real. That belief becomes a furnace, a force. It turns fog into focus, chaos into clarity. And once your mind is clear, truly clear, life begins to follow your orders. Clarity is magnetic. The clearer you are about who you are, what you want, and why you must have it, the more life organizes itself to meet you halfway. But clarity doesn't come easy. Most people aren't clear because they're not honest. They pretend to want wealth, but they fear being seen. They claim they want success, but they resent those who have it. They say they are ready, but they're still addicted to comfort, to excuses, to playing small so no one can criticize them. And so they drift. They live in reaction. They wait for signs, for permission, for the right time. But the rich, the truly rich, they don't wait. They decide. And decision is power. Decision cuts through fear. Decision says, I am no longer available for less than what I was born to become. That decision becomes a signal to your nervous system, to your habits, to your energy. You walk different, speak different, think different. You stop negotiating with your weaknesses and start investing in your strengths. You stop trying to be liked and start choosing to be respected by yourself. Because the path to wealth is not paved with chance. It is paved with choice. And those choices are rarely easy. They will demand from you. They will stretch you. They will strip you of every illusion you've built to protect your mediocrity. And this is where most people fail. They want wealth, but not the version of themselves that wealth requires. They want abundance, but not the identity that attracts it. They want growth, but not the death of who they've been. But the rich, they choose transformation over and over and over again. They die to the old self. They bury the excuses. They incinerate the victim story. They reinvent, recreate, recommit every single day. Not because it's easy, but because it's sacred. Purpose is sacred. And when wealth becomes an expression of purpose, not ego, not greed, not validation, but purpose, it becomes unstoppable. So ask yourself, what is the mission your wealth will serve? What impact will it multiply? What future will it build, not just for you, but through you? Because until your reason is bigger than your resistance, you will always stop. You will always fold when it gets hard. You will always return to the safety of the familiar, even if the familiar is the very thing that's keeping you broke. Discipline is what builds the bridge between desire and manifestation, and the rich, they live on that bridge. Every day, not because they feel like it, not because motivation knocked on the door this morning, but because discipline became their identity. They show up when no one's watching. They study when others scroll. They invest while others spend. They sacrifice comfort for greatness. They are addicted, not to dopamine, but to progress, to the quiet satisfaction of knowing they are doing what most won't, to live how most never will. They do not see discipline as a punishment. They see it as power. They understand that the greatest luxury in life is control. Control over your emotions, control over your time, control over your thoughts. And the only way to earn that control is by showing up for yourself every day, even when the world gives you every excuse not to. You will never build wealth without discipline, not because the universe is cruel, but because wealth is responsibility, and no force in this world will give you more than you're prepared to hold. That is the unspoken law. That is why most people sabotage abundance the moment it shows up, because they never became the version of themselves who could carry it with strength, with wisdom, with grace. You don't get what you want. You get what you're ready for. And the rich, they are always ready, because they prepare when no one claps. They work when it's boring. They build when it's slow. They sow seeds in silence long before the world ever sees the harvest. This is the mindset that changes everything. You see, most people are obsessed with outcomes. The rich are obsessed with identity. Most people chase money. The rich become the kind of person money is drawn to. Most people set goals based on fear. I need this much or I'll fail. The rich set goals based on expansion. How big can I become? How much can I give? How deeply can I live? That shift changes everything, because when your identity aligns with abundance, your habits begin to obey. You stop tolerating environments that shrink you. You stop repeating conversations that drain you. You stop living as if you have time to waste, because you realize time is your only real currency. And when that realization lands in your bones, not just in your mind, you begin to move differently. You stop negotiating with the life you don't want. You stop trying to explain your vision to people who've already decided to stay small. You stop proving and you start building, quietly, powerfully, relentlessly. And what you build is not just wealth. What you build is ownership over your mind, your emotions, your energy, your direction. And once you own yourself fully, wealth has no choice but to follow, because wealth, real wealth, is not money. It's influence over your own world. And here's the secret. Abundance does not begin with what you have. It begins with how you see. Gratitude is the beginning of all abundance, not the kind that's posted on social media with pretty quotes, but the kind that sinks into your spirit like water into dry ground. The kind of gratitude that sees opportunity and challenge, that finds light in the darkest hour, that gives thanks for the work, not just the reward. Most people only feel grateful when something goes their way. The rich feel grateful because they understand that everything is shaping them. Every win, every loss, every delay, every detour. They know that the universe is never punishing them. It's positioning them. That belief is not soft. That belief is power. Because when you can see purpose in your pain, you become unbreakable. When you can see lessons in your losses, you become unstoppable. When you can thank the storm, not just for passing, but for forging you, then you are finally ready to rise. Resilience is the true wealth, and it is forged, not inherited. Most people fold the first time life says no. They take failure personally. They shrink when they're criticized. They avoid the hard conversations. They build walls instead of character. And that is why they remain broke, not financially, but mentally. But the rich fail often. The rich fail loud. The rich fail forward. Because to them, failure is data. It is feedback. It is friction. And friction creates fire. They don't avoid rejection. They master it. They don't dodge discomfort. They chase it. They don't fear the mountain. They climb it again and again until it becomes a staircase. This is not motivation. This is reality. The rich do not wait to feel ready. They act, and readiness catches up. They do not worship perfection. They worship progress. They understand that the man who moves, even imperfectly, will always outpace the man who hesitates with perfect logic. You must move. You must take the idea, the vision, the dream that has been living rent-free in your mind and bring it into the light. Not someday, but now. Because wealth rewards action, not theory, not intention, not wishful thinking. Action, unapologetic, imperfect, committed action. And the longer you wait to act, the louder your fear becomes. Because fear feeds on delay. But courage, real courage, is born in the moment you do the thing your old self would have avoided. That's the edge the rich walk. And they walk it daily. They lean into the fear, not away from it. They know that on the other side of that fear is everything they asked for, and more. You see, wealth is not something you chase. Wealth is something you align with. You do not hunt it, you attract it. By becoming congruent with your highest self, by eliminating the noise, by speaking only what you wish to create, by moving like the future is already yours. Because in truth it is. But you must claim it with your energy, with your decisions, with your unwavering refusal to be anything less than what you know, deep in your soul, you were born to be. This is not for everyone. But if you are still listening, then something in you knows. You are not meant for average. You are not meant to scrape by. You are not meant to fear money or resent success or play small in the name of humility. You were born to lead, to rise, to create, to build, to give, to be the example of what's possible. You are the root. Wealth is the fruit. And the tree grows only when the root is nourished daily, through belief, through purpose, through action, through gratitude, through discipline, through fire. Now choose. Will you be the person who keeps waiting? Or will you be the one who becomes ready by deciding? True wealth doesn't just require money. It requires mastery. Not mastery over markets, trends, or tricks, but mastery over self. Because the man who cannot control his emotions will always be controlled by his environment. The woman who cannot lead herself through fear will always follow the loudest voice, even if it leads her to poverty. The rich think differently because they learn differently. While most people consume information to escape reality, the wealthy study to transform it. They don't scroll for stimulation. They seek wisdom that sharpens the sword of their mind. They don't look for shortcuts. They build foundations. Lifelong learning is not a luxury. It is the discipline of the wealthy. The rich don't just read books. They read themselves. They dissect every belief, every bias, every habit that keeps them small, and they rebuild, one decision at a time, a stronger, clearer, freer version of who they were born to be. Because they know the battlefield is not out there, it's in the mind. Most people lose before they begin, not because they tried and failed, but because they never had the mental armor to enter the arena. They carry with them invisible scripts. I'm not good enough. I wasn't meant for more. What if I fail again? These whispers shape their posture, their tone, their pace through life, and life responds accordingly. But the rich, they rewrite the script. They look their inner critic in the eye and say, "Not today, not anymore. You're not the author of my destiny. I am." And with that declaration, everything shifts. Because when you begin to believe you are worthy, your reality rearranges itself. You speak differently. You walk into rooms with presence, not apology. You stop shrinking to make others comfortable and start shining to make yourself proud. You stop hoping to be chosen, and you start choosing yourself. This shift, this internal revolution, is the richest moment of all. Because self-worth is the vault door. Until it opens, nothing else can flow. The wealthy don't ask, "Am I enough?" They declare, "I am more than enough, and I intend to prove it." This is not arrogance. This is alignment. This is the recognition that you are not placed on this earth to survive your potential, but to unleash it. And when your belief meets discipline, when your clarity meets action, when your self-worth meets execution, wealth has no choice but to arrive. But hear me, you must guard this mindset with everything you have, because the world will try to dull it. The average will try to mock it. The doubters will try to talk you down from your tower because they've accepted a life in the basement. But you are not made for that. You are made to rise, and rising requires solitude, silence, separation. It requires walking alone when no one understands, because you see what they don't. Not with your eyes, but with your vision. That internal fire, that sacred knowing that this life has more. And that more was meant for you. This is where the rich differ most. They don't run from solitude. They seek it. They don't fill their time with noise. They guard their focus like treasure. They don't chase validation. They validate themselves through integrity, through discipline, through the quiet triumph of becoming who they said they'd be. And from that space, from that stillness, comes power. Power to see clearly. Power to act without panic. Power to remain grounded when the winds of life howl like storms. Because wealth is not earned in the spotlight, it is earned in the shadows, in the moments when no one is watching, in the hours when the world sleeps and you're still moving, in the choices no one claps for, but you know are building the version of you the future demands. So ask yourself again, what is wealth to you? Is it a number, a house, a car? Or is it something deeper? The ability to live by your own rhythm, to speak with your own voice, to build from your soul outward, not your fear inward. True wealth is freedom, but freedom is not free. It is purchased with discipline, with resilience, with the unrelenting decision to never again be a slave to your past, your doubts, your excuses. And that decision, it must be made daily. Because the mind, left unchecked, will return to what's easy. It will seek safety, comfort, validation. It will trade greatness for acceptance and legacy for routine. Unless you interrupt it, unless you lead it, unless you discipline it with truth, with vision, with unshakable purpose. That's what the rich have done. They've become the master of their minds. They've replaced confusion with clarity, scarcity with certainty, emotion with execution. And in doing so, they've unlocked the only door that ever mattered, the one within. Everything external is a mirror. Your bank account, your relationships, your opportunities. They reflect back your inner world, your beliefs, your standards, your willingness to honor what you say you want, with action that matches it. So if you don't like the reflection, change the route, not the mirror. Your job is not to chase more. Your job is to become more. And when you do, not just once, but consistently, life will bend, doors will open, connections will align, resources will appear. Not by luck, not by magic, but by law. The law of alignment, the law of identity, the law of becoming. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are. Become rich in identity, and wealth in every form will follow. Now listen closely, because this is the moment most people never reach. This is the moment you stop pretending. Stop pretending you don't want more. Stop pretending you're okay with average. Stop pretending that the fire inside you is just imagination, when deep down you know it's a calling. You were never designed for mediocrity. That was programmed into you, drip by drip, teacher by teacher, fear by fear. But your DNA, your soul, your essence remembers. It remembers greatness. It remembers expansion. It remembers what it means to walk like a king, to think like a queen, to speak like a force of nature who bends life to purpose, not accident. And that memory is waking up in you now. You can feel it, that pull, that restlessness, that pressure in your chest when you scroll past another person living the life you secretly crave. But that life was never meant to be watched. It was meant to be lived, not by them, but by you. But you must choose it, not once. Every time you get tired, every time you feel behind, every time the old identity whispers, maybe I should just settle. You look it in the eye and say, no, I will not betray the version of me I was born to become. Because that version, your highest self, is not out there. It's not hiding in a book or a course or a podcast. It is already inside you, screaming to be unlocked. And only you hold the key. And that key is not found in comfort. It is found in courage. Courage to demand more. Courage to risk being misunderstood. Courage to outgrow the people who only love you when you stay small. Courage to look at the world and say with quiet fire, watch me. Because the rich, the truly rich, are not rich because they followed a trend. They are rich because they refuse to follow anything but their own truth. They didn't wait for the perfect economy. They didn't wait for approval. They didn't wait to feel ready. They moved. And in that movement, the world made space for them. This is your time now. The question is no longer, can I become wealthy? The question is, will I become the person who is worthy of wealth? Because that's all it's ever been about. You're not fighting for money. You're fighting to remember your value. You are fighting to reclaim your voice. You are fighting to show yourself that you are never broken, never weak, never too late, only waiting for this moment. And now that it's here, there is only one thing left to do. Stand up. Not just physically, mentally, spiritually, energetically. Stand up and walk like you own this life. Speak like you know your words bend reality. Think like every thought is building your legacy. Because it is. There is no more time to waste, no more dreams to bury, no more excuses to recycle, no more versions of you that play it safe and call it wisdom. Now is the time for power. Now is the time for wealth. Now is the time for you. Not tomorrow, not next year. Now so breathe and declare this with your entire being. I was born for greatness. I am worthy of wealth. I am not waiting to be chosen. I am choosing myself. I walk in alignment. I move with vision. I act with discipline. I serve with purpose. I live with legacy. I think like the rich. I believe like the rich. I am the rich because the mindset came first, and now, finally, the life will follow. If this message spoke to something deep within you, then don't let it end here. Hit that subscribe button. Not just to follow this channel, but to follow through on your decision to never go back to the old mindset. Turn on notifications, because every week we drop cinematic, powerful speeches like this to fuel your belief, your discipline, and your rise. leave a comment below and declare your vision. Let the world witness your shift, and share this video with someone who needs to remember their power, because we rise faster when we rise together. This is not just a channel. This is a movement for those who choose to think rich, live rich, and become rich from the inside out. Your time is now. Your mind is the key. And this is only the beginning.